right, Adi Raj, I've got you down for a consultation on Wednesday, December 17th at 1 p.m. We'll discuss your car accident case and how we can help. Does that sound right?
Sounds good, thank you. Personal injury attorneys are leaving $250,000 on the table every single year, and they have no idea that it's happening. 3 potential clients called, got to voicemail, and moved on to the next lawyer before your receptionist even knew that the phone rang. I know this because I built a system that intercepts those calls, and when I show attorneys the call logs from their first month, they go pale. We're talking about 50 to 70 missed opportunities monthly that they never assumed existed. Today I'm showing you how to build the system in under an hour and why it's the easiest $5,000 you will ever charge a law firm. What's going on? I am Aliraj, and today we are assembling a fully autonomous personal injury law firm reception system powered by Vapi and n8n. This system handles the hardest part of personal injury intake, which is that first conversation with someone who just got hurt, who's stressed and in pain, and needs immediate reassurance that a real legal professional is listening and cares about their situation. The system collects accident details, injury information, medical attention status, shows actual attorney availability, and books consultations without a single human touching the phone. By the end, you will have a 24/7 AI receptionist that talks to accident victims with genuine empathy while systematically qualifying cases and filling up your consultation calendar. The insane part is this handles cases your firm never even knew were calling. If you're into automation systems like this, hit subscribe and like this video because I build these for different industries every single week. Let's start off by diving into Vapi. And so you can create an account at vapi.ai and then go ahead and create an assistant. Then click on Create Assistant. And you can change that name to whatever actually matches your practice. Go ahead and for our model, which is super important, choose GPT 4.1 Mini. And we use this because it responds super fast, keeps our operational costs low, and it's going to handle those sensitive injury conversations with the appropriate empathy. Then keep this on Assistant Speaks First. This is the first message mode. And this just means that our agent is not going to wait for the person to talk. It's just going to greet them with whatever phrase we tell them to greet them with, okay? And this matters enormously in personal injury because someone calling after an accident is already super stressed, possibly in pain, dealing with insurance companies, and they're wondering if they even have a case that's worth pursuing. So you want immediate engagement, right? We're going to set the first message in a second, but let's move on to the system prompt for now. And so delete this and go over to the school community and then click on master prompt personal injury. Grab this and then paste it in here. And then click publish so your changes are saved. Publish. And then we're circling back now to that first message, and we have actually assigned it over here inside our prompt. And you can adjust this and tailor it to your specific use case. And publish this. Okay. So this prompt over here that we just pasted in transforms our AI into a super skilled legal intake specialist. It's going to handle accident categorization across car accidents, slip and falls, workplace injuries, medical malpractice, everything from dog bites to pedestrian incidents and motorcycle crashes, right? It knows exactly how to collect the critical data points every personal injury attorney needs before consultation, which are what type of accident occurred, what injuries resulted, and whether the person sought medical attention. The last one matters because it affects case viability and the statute of limitations urgency. But what separates a good prompt from a great one is that this one trains the AI to show genuine empathy. Personal injury callers are often frightened, in pain, or financially desperate. This prompt teaches the AI to acknowledge their stress with phrases like, "I'm so sorry that happened," and "that sounds really difficult," before moving into information gathering. So it balances compassion and efficiency, which is exactly what these calls are going to demand, right? Now, after you've hit publish, hopefully you've already done that, you have a fully functional intake specialist, but it can't take any action yet, right? So if you click Talk to Assistant, it can listen and respond, but it can't check calendars or book appointments yet. So in order to do that, we're going to need to add something called tools. And in our prompt, we've actually told it what tools we're about to give it. Qualify personal injury, availability personal injury, and book appointment personal injury, okay? So to add these tools, go over here and click on Tools in Vapi. Click on Create Tool. I want to explain really quickly what these tools are going to do and the real purpose behind it, right? So each tool is going to activate at a specific point in the conversation based on what the caller needs and what information the AI has already gathered. So you can think of it like 3 stages of converting a scared accident victim into a confirmed consultation on your attorney's calendar. And the magic is really in the sequential logic. As I showed you back there, the AI, we've told it exactly the order that the tools are to be called. In fact, we literally say, always follow the sequence. So the AI is not going to randomly fire these tools. It's going to follow a specific path based on the conversation progression, right? So first, it's going to qualify the case. And first, it's going to qualify the case by gathering the accident and injury details. Then it's going to check when your attorneys are available. And finally, it's going to book the specific time slot that the caller confirmed. Each tool builds on information from the previous one, creating a super seamless intake experience that feels completely natural to the caller. So let's go back and actually create that first tool for qualification. And over here, paste that in. Hit save. And toggle that to JSON. Go to the community. Master qualify. Paste that in here. Click apply. Click save. And if it's saved, it'll update over here. And you can toggle it back to visual to see it, all the parameters like this. So this essentially captures the case fundamentals and activates once a caller has explained their situation. And we're going to need 3 parameters over here. Each one of these is 1 parameter, right? So 3 total. Accident type is going to be a string which captures what exactly happened, and the AI is going to identify this from the conversation context. Someone says I got rear-ended on the freeway, it knows that it's a car accident. They say I slipped on a wet floor at the grocery store, it knows that it's a slip and fall. So the AI is going to categorize naturally based on how people actually describe their accident. Then we have the injury description. Injury description is a string which captures the physical harm. It's not a medical diagnosis, but it's just describing what the person's experiencing. Something like neck and back pain or a broken wrist. The AI is going to extract this from however they describe personally that they are hurt. And then finally, we have has medical attention. This is another string that confirms whether they've seen a doctor already. This must be a yes or no because it's a critical legal qualifier. Someone's gone to the emergency room or saw their doctor. That's a documented injury treatment, which strengthens our case viability. The AI is going to ask this directly if the caller doesn't mention it. And so the AI populates all these fields by listening and extracting relevant information. Your system prompt has trained it with what questions to ask and what answers fit where. So when someone describes their accident injuries, the AI recognizes I now have everything I need for qualification and then triggers this tool automatically. Let's move on to our second tool, which is the availability tool. It's going to be called Availability Personal Injury. Save that. Go over to the school community, grab availability, master availability. And go down here, JSON, paste that in, click apply, save. And so now we've constructed another tool called Availability Personal Injury and just has 1 parameter. This is a search date as a string in ISO format, and it represents when they usually want to meet. Could be today, could be tomorrow, or the next week, depending on their availability and our availability. This tool fires after qualification, which is that previous tool we just made, succeeds. So at this point, AI has all the case details. Now it needs to show the consultation opening. So queries your calendar through n8n and receives back a list of genuinely available time slots based on what your attorneys actually have open that day. And so the system prompt tells AI when to use this, something like after gathering case details, ask what day works for them, and then check consultation availability for that date. AI is going to understand the progression, which is qualify first, schedule second, and then third, which we're about to do right now, is book, right? So create tool, custom tool. This says book appointment. Save that. And go over to the community. Get master book appointment. JSON. And paste that in. Okay. Click apply and save. Just toggle that back to visual. So this has 3 parameters. It has a client name, end date time, and start date time. Client name is just a string with their full name, which the AI is going to ask for directly. Start date time is a string in ISO format, same with end date time. And that's when the consultation begins and then when the consultation is going to finish, right? This tool fires when they've confirmed a specific day and time. Now, the AI has already showed them the available slots and they've picked one. Now it has everything it needs to create a calendar entry, which includes their name, the time they selected, and from the earlier qualification tool, all of their accident and injury details. And so what makes this super powerful for law firms is when the AI books this appointment, n8n is going to pull that qualification data from earlier in the conversation and attach it to the calendar event, which you're about to see. So when your attorney looks at their schedule, they're going to see a 2 p.m. consultation with John Martinez regarding car accident, resulting in neck and back pain, and the patient has seen a doctor. So your lawyer is going to walk into that meeting, already know the case basics and what to prepare for. And so why do these sequential tools matter, right? Why did we have to create 3 tools and why not just create 1 tool with everything? So these 3 tools create a natural conversation flow that mirrors how your best receptionist would really handle these intake calls. First, understand what happened and whether it's a viable case. Then find a time that works, and then finally lock in the appointment with full context. The caller should never feel like they're filling out a form. It literally just feels like talking to someone who cares and it's helping them get legal assistance quickly. So now we've created these 3 tools, but we need to actually assign it to our assistant. So go over to assistant, go to tools, and then click on those 3 tools we just made over here. Click publish. Okay. And also worth noting is how do we connect Vapi to our backend, right? n8n. We want to go all the way down here to messaging. And so the server settings right here, right? So right now it's blank, but this is where Vapi sends the tool data when AI decides to trigger that tool during a call. And leave these blank for now because we haven't built out that n8n backend yet. But understand what's happening when we complete this. When your AI is determined that it's gathered enough information to run qualify personal injury, it packages up all that data and sends it to whatever URL you put in this field right here. And so that URL, which we're about to do very soon, is your n8n webhook, which processes the data and then sends back a response. And we're going to fill this in after building the n8n workflow. For now, just make sure that those 3 tools were attached to your assistant, and then make sure you've saved everything. Also, while we're here in messaging, let's toggle the server messages to only trigger our n8n instance when a tool is called. And you can check the rest of these if your use case permits it, but for now, we only really need to call n8n when one of those 3 tools we just made needs to get called, okay? So now let's actually assign a phone number to our agent. So go over to phone numbers over here, click create phone number. A strategic move I like to do is choose one with an area code that matches where your client practices law. If it's not available over here, you can use a service like Twilio to get the area code that you want. Let's use 253. And give this a name like personal injury agent. Hit save. Go down here to inbound settings because this is an inbound agent and click on the personal injury agent and click save. And so an outbound agent would be if our agent's doing outbound calls, but this is answering calls. So that's why we toggle the inbound settings. Okay. And so as I said earlier, you're going to want to choose a local area code. And why do we do this? Local numbers increase the answer rates because injured people want a local attorney, not a distant firm that doesn't really understand their area. So link that assistant as I just showed you how. And then now at this point, you have a live personal injury intake line. If you dial it right now, the AI responds, even though nothing's going to book yet since we haven't built out that backend. But it's going to engage naturally with empathy, which is remarkable considering most law firms are still using robotic phone trees that make injured people want to hang up immediately. So let's go ahead and build out our backend, launch up n8n, and when you first open this up, it'll be blank for you. So go over to my school community and then grab master personal injury, open this up and then just copy paste the whole file in here, right? And then you'll have this. So everything's already done for you. I've already done the work for you. So you don't need to do it from scratch. This complete workflow will load for you. Okay. So now let me walk you through each component so you understand how to customize this for different law firms. And so then you can also add more features like SMS confirmations to clients or case notifications to attorneys. So first off, we have the Webhook node. This Webhook node is where all the information enters your system. Every request from your AI receptionist arrives through this single point. And when you create this Webhook in n8n, you're going to receive something like this, right? And so we want to copy this URL. And I don't know if you remember earlier. And so we're going to want to copy this URL, go back to Vapi, click on personal injury agent, and go down to messaging. And then if you remember that server URL I was talking about, now we paste this in here. So this is what wires up our n8n to our Vapi. So what arrives every time a tool executes is a structured JSON containing several critical pieces. You get a message tool calls array, which is how Vapi packages the tool call name and all the data the AI has collected during the conversation. You get ID, which is another member of tool calls, which is telling n8n send the response for this specific request back to Vapi, right? You also have the function name, which identifies what tool was fired, something like one of the three we just created, availability personal injury, or book appointment personal injury, etc. You also have function arguments, which is an object containing all of the details, like the accident type and injury description, or the client name and appointment time, right? And then you have the message customer number, which is the actual caller's phone number that you need for the appointment reminders and the attorney notifications. So this webhook is the foundation for everything. If this fails, then everything fails. And it's super important to make sure that you've used a production URL to map this to your Vapi, right? Next, we're going to move on to the switch node. So this switch node manages the traffic flow through your workflow. It reads which tool fired and then determines where the information goes next. So it uses three outputs, each with a specific condition checking that function member of tool calls, right? Availability personal injury is going to send it down the availability checking path. Output 2, this output is going to send it down the booking path. And then output 3 is going to send it down the qualification logging path. So think of it like a sorting facility. One webhook is going to receive all the incoming data, but the different tools need different processing, right? So when a caller describes their accident and the AI needs to check consultation openings, Vapi's going to fire availability, the webhook's going to intercept it, switch reads it, and then sends it to output 1, where the calendar checking happens. When the same caller confirms a time slot, Vapi's going to fire book appointment personal injury, switch sends it to output 2, where the appointment creation happens. This routing system is how a complete workflow understands what action to take based on where the conversation currently stands. Okay, so next up is the check availability flow. And first up we have the get calendar node. So when the AI checks availability and the switch sends to output 1, the first action we take is retrieving your attorney's calendar. And for the purpose of this demo, I've just linked it to my calendar, but you want to link it to your attorney's calendar over here. And so it's configured to get many, which retrieves every event within a specific time window. The time window starts at time min, which is the search date from the tool call, usually today at 8 a.m., and then ends at time max, which is going to be the end of the same day at midnight. So someone calls requesting consultation today. This pulls all the appointments your attorneys already have scheduled for today. If they request tomorrow, it's going to pull tomorrow's schedule. Now, a critical setting over here under settings is always output data, and you need to make sure this is enabled. And this just means if the calendar is completely empty with no appointments, n8n is still going to pass valid data instead of crashing the workflow. An empty calendar just means that your attorneys are fully available. So without this setting enabled, the empty calendar would just stop the complete workflow dead, which would be an absolute disaster, right? So the output of this whole node is going to be an array of appointments. Each one is going to contain the start time, the end time, the summary, and the description. And then this flows to our next node where we merge it with the webhook data. As you can see, it's a merge node. So this merge node combines two data sources that both need to reach the next processing step. One source is the Vapi tool call with a search date telling us what day they want, which is this line right here. And the other one source is the calendar results showing what's already scheduled that day, which is this line right here. The webhook's going to tell us what day they requested, and the calendar is going to tell us what times are already taken. The next node, which is code, needs both to calculate what slots remain open. And this merge node is configured to combine by position over here. So if the webhook has one item and the calendar event has one item, even if that calendar item is an empty array, they become a single item with both datasets available. And this is super critical for the next step where the code execution happens. And now we move on to the code node, which is called generate and filter slots. This code node is where the intelligence lives. And this is where we create potential consultation slots and filter out the ones that are already booked or conflict with existing appointment. So let me walk you through this logic in plain language. The code's going to start by extracting tool call data from the webhook, and it's going to grab message tool call 0, which is the tool object, pull out that tool call ID and the argument. Now the tool call ID matters because this is how n8n tells Vapi these are the available slots for your request. The arguments are going to contain the search date, And then next, the code's going to load the schedule configuration in a config object, which is right here, right? And this is going to define all the relevant information for your law firm. And so over here, it's set to LA, workday start hour. So this is set to, so over here, the time zone set to LA. From 8 to 6 are the operating hours. Booking cadence 30 minutes, meaning slots appear every 30 minutes. Meeting duration as 30 minutes, meaning these consultations last 30 minutes. And then the buffer before and after set to 15 and 15. So that buffer before and after each consultation. It's your practice, so make it your configuration. Then the code then generates the potential slots by taking the search date and creating time blocks from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. in 30-minute increments. So you get 8 to 8:30, 8:30 to 9, 9 to 9:30, and then this will continue until 6 p.m. So that represents all the potential consultation times for that day. Next, the code's going to check what's already booked by examining the calendar data from Merge Node. It's going to pull existing appointments and then add 15-minute buffers or whatever buffer time you set to each one. So if you have a consultation from 2 to 2:30, it's going to block out 1:45 to 2:45. And this just prevents back-to-back scheduling that gives attorneys no breathing room, right? Then after that, the code's going to filter out conflicts by comparing potential slots against book times. If a slot overlaps with any existing appointment, including those buffers, it's going to get removed. And so then what remains are those genuinely available slots. And then finally, at the end, the code's going to format the response by converting available slots into a readable format. So not ISO format, which is not readable, but something like Thursday, April 11th at 2 p.m. And this is what AI is going to read back to the client in natural language. The code's going to return an object with a tool call ID, an available slots array, and then it's going to flow to the next node, which transmits everything back to Vapi. And the next node is a respond to Webhook node, which is going to transmit all those available slots back to Vapi in the exact format that it expects. So the format is JSON with tool call ID and a slot list structured as a results array. And the exact structure Vapi wants looks like results containing an object with tool call ID and result. And that result is a stringfied JSON, not a nested object, because Vapi expects tool responses as strings. And respond to Webhook handles this when you configure it to JSON mode with expression syntax, right? And Vapi receives this, parses the available slots, and the AI is going to respond naturally with something like, I have consultations openings at 10 a.m., 2:30 p.m., and 4 p.m. What time is most convenient for you? When the caller confirms a time, then we're going to hit the booking path, which is up next. When a caller selects a slot, the book appointment personal injury tool is going to fire. The switch is going to send it to output 2, straight to this Google Calendar node called book lead, right? And so it's set to create, which makes a new appointment, and the fields it populates are calendar, which is your law firm calendar ID, usually your email or shared calendar. Start is going to be the start date time from the tool call, which is the slot that they picked, and it's going to be the end date time from the tool call, which is 30 minutes or how many ever later minutes you select from that config object. Summary is going to be personal injury consultation with their client name, and description is where it gets interesting. This description pulls from multiple sources to create a complete case snapshot. It includes a client name from the book appointment personal injury tool, the phone number from the webhook at message customer number, the accident type from the qualify injury tool, injury from that tool, and then medical attention status from that tool as well. All over here, right? So there's a tricky part worth understanding over here. The book appointment personal injury tool only contains the client name and appointment times. So it doesn't have access to the accident type, injury description, or medical attention details. So how are we getting all this information? It's going to come from that conversation history. The webhook includes message artifact.messages, which is the complete call transcript. The code's going to search that array, find where the AI called qualify personal injury earlier in the conversation, grab the arguments from that tool call, and then extract that qualification data. The expression doing this looks super complex over here, but when you break it down, it's really simple. It searches the messages, finds qualify personal injury call, parses the arguments, and then extracts whatever field you need, like accident type or injury description or has medical attention. So your lawyer walks into that meeting prepared with context and knows what case materials to have ready. And this is a massive advantage over traditional intake where attorneys get a name and a time with zero case context. Next up, we have another respond to webhook node over here. And this is just going to send back a simple confirmation that says appointment successfully booked. The format is just an object with a result as a string. And Vapi is going to receive this and the AI responds with something warm like perfect. Your consultation is booked for 2 p.m. today. One of our experienced attorneys will meet with you to discuss your car accident case and explain your legal options. So we ensure that the caller feels taken care of, which matters enormously when they are stressed and hurt. Finally, we have the qualify lead flow. The caller just describes their accident and injuries but doesn't immediately book. The qualify injury tool will run. And so the switch sends to output 3, which hits this respond to webhook called qualification successful. This logs all the case details and returns back lead qualification noted back to Vapi. So the AI might follow up with got all your information. Let me check with what consultation times we have available today. And then it would run availability personal injury next, right? So this path exists because we need to capture all the accident injury details first as a separate step, then move on to scheduling. So it's a little bit deceiving over here, but we would start off with qualification, then move on to check availability, and then do book appointment, right? So this keeps the flow super organized and ensures that nothing gets missed, even if the caller isn't sure about time. Now I've gone over the entire flow. If you still have questions, drop it in the comments. Let's run a live test now. So have your calendar open and go back and grab that number that we've assigned our agent. And one really important note, just make sure that you've toggled your workflow to active. And this just enables your webhook to receive calls from Vapi, okay? Now let's give our agent a call.
Thanks for calling Los Angeles Personal Injury Law Firm. This is Riley. I'm so sorry to hear about what happened. Can you tell me a bit about your situation?
Hey man, yeah, I was in a car accident 2 days ago. Someone rear-ended me and I've been dealing with bad neck pain ever since.
I'm really sorry you're dealing with that neck pain. It sounds rough. Have you been able to see a doctor or get any medical attention since the accident?
Yeah, I went to the emergency room and they said I might have whiplash.
Thanks for sharing that you were in a car accident dealing with neck pain and possible whiplash, and that you've already been to the emergency room. Let me get that logged for you. Okay, here's what we'll do. I'll get you scheduled with one of our experienced attorneys for a free consultation. They'll review your case and explain your options. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
So what day and time work best for you to have your consultation?
Yeah, could we do tomorrow at 1 p.m.?
Perfect. That slot at 1 p.m. tomorrow is available. Want me to book it for you?
Yeah, let's do it.
Great. And what's your full name for the appointment?
Yeah, my name's Adiraj.
All right, Adi Raj, I've got you down for a consultation on Wednesday, December 17th at 1 p.m. We'll discuss your car accident case and how we can help. Does that sound right?
Sounds good, thank you.
Perfect. You're all set. We'll give you a call if we...
Awesome. So as you can see, it populated the Google Calendar event with all that information, the car accident, the type of injury, and also that I have received medical attention, along with my phone number, and then so real talk, right? This system is an absolute game changer for law practices. Personal injury firms miss consultation requests constantly, the attorney is always in court, the paralegal is buried in discovery documents, and the receptionist is on another call or they stepped out for lunch, right? That missed string is $1,500 to $3,000 in potential fees vanishing to whichever firm answers first, and in personal injury, the first contact usually secures the client because injured people are desperate for help right now. And your AI that we just built answers instantly no matter what. So zero missed inquiries ever, even at 9 p.m. when someone gets home from the emergency room and starts searching for attorneys. It's going to qualify cases immediately by collecting accident type, injury details, and medical attention status. And that means that your attorneys only see consultations with actual case potential, not tire kickers. It's going to capture critical details that prepare your lawyers before meetings. So no more walking into consultations absolutely blind, like asking, so what happened? When you could have known everything beforehand. Books consultations automatically by displaying actual available times from your calendar with no double bookings and no scheduling conflicts. And it operates 24/7 because accident victims call whenever their pain gets bad enough or their fear about medical bills peaks. So this solves a massively expensive problem for small and medium personal injury firms. The setup cost is basically nothing versus hiring a full-time receptionist at $50,000 yearly, and you never lose another case to voicemail. So there you have it. That is your complete AI personal injury intake system. Vapi's handling the empathetic conversations with accident victims, and n8n's processing the qualification logic and the calendar management. Google Calendar over here is keeping your attorneys organized, the full case context attached to every consultation. Now, if you want the complete workflow JSON, the system profile, the two configurations, and the full build breakdowns for other industries like HVAC, plumbing, roofing, and med spas, it's all in my school community. Download the files, clone the workflow, and customize it for your client, and then launch a working demo today. The link is in the description. Drop a comment of what industry you want me to build out next, and I'll see you in the next one.